Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a Q&A video about my grad collection. So this is part 2 of my grad collection tour where I answer all of your questions that you guys sent through regarding my collection and studying fashion design. I know this video has been long overdue. What happened was I finished filming and editing the video and then I somehow deleted it, so I just couldn't really bring myself again to film it. But I am here today to finally do this video. I will get straight into the first question. How much money did you spend on your collection? To be honest, I can't tell you an exact number because I did not keep track of my expenses while I was doing my final grad collection. I probably should have, because I think I wasted a lot of money, but also I saved a lot of money in the sense that a lot of my materials were for free, but the rest of my fabrics in my collection, I bought them from a fabric store. If we put all the expenses together from fabrics and photo shoots, probably a couple $1,000s. I don't think it went over $5,000. I probably spent maybe $2,000 to $5,000, I think. But again, I hate that I can't tell you an exact number, but I think it was around there. Before we move on with the rest of the video, I'd just like to take a quick moment to talk about today's sponsor, Skillshare. So Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes for anyone who is creative and loves to learn. There's so many topics you can choose from, like photography, graphic design, and entrepreneurship. And the best thing about it is that you guys can take the classes whenever and wherever you like. And I know that a lot of you guys who watch my channel want to learn more about fashion design. I would 100% recommend Skillshare as the place to go, because after taking some myself, I found so many valuable resources on pattern making, fashion illustration, fashion business, and sewing techniques. A class that I've recently taken is Business Behind the Scenes by Caitlin Motion, and in this class she just talks about how to grow your business organically and finding a balance between making creative sacrifices and doing things differently at the same time in order to expand the brand. If you guys are interested in checking out the classes, Skillshare has kindly provided me with a link where the first 1,000 people to sign up using that link in my description box will be able to get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So if you guys are interested in furthering your learning or exploring new creative paths, make sure to check that below, and let's get back into the video. How did you come up with your concept, and did your ideas change throughout the process? For my concept, I wanted to come up with something that was a little bit more personal. So my original one, I couldn't really go anywhere with that because I couldn't relate to it. I started off with brainstorming what kind of fabrics I wanted to use, and I think I came to industrial fabrics and textiles, and then I was going into automotive, and my dad works in the automotive industry, so I think just everything came together in the end. And then from there I did my visual research, textiles and fabrics that you can see in cars, car parts, car designs, and then that inspired the silhouettes that were created in my grad collection. I feel like that was a bunch of word vomit, so hopefully that was somewhat cohesive. The second part of the question was, did your ideas change throughout the process? I think once I was pretty set on the automotive design, my ideas didn't change. But again, as I said before, I had a whole different concept before the car concept. I was looking at mountaineering gear and hiking, but yeah, I just couldn't find a message or anything that I wanted to really portray with that. Did you ever doubt your collection and or want to start over? If so, how did you push through? This relates to what I just said. I did basically start my collection over again in the middle of the year. I think I needed to start over, to start fresh. I was really holding on to that original concept, and that didn't help at all. So I think when you get stuck with an idea or a concept, don't feel afraid to move on to something else, because most cases I feel like it's better, which is what happened in my scenario. My tip would just be to explore different ideas. Just keep your options open so that you're not confining yourself to one idea. What comes first in the process of creating a collection? I think this was different for me with every garment and every look. Some of the garments I was inspired by the fabric first. I wanted to work with airbags, so with the airbag texture and stitching and shapes, I knew I wanted to incorporate that in a certain way. So some of the garments were informed by the fabric, but then others it would be the other way around. So I would have an idea of a garment, and then it was about finding the right fabrics to execute that. So patterns was definitely never a first place for me, only because I don't think that's my strength. When you're first planning a collection, definitely number of looks is going to come first. Like, I planned that I was going to have 6 looks, I ended up with 5, and then just creating a concept for each different look. How long did it take for you to finish the entire collection from concept design to final garment? I would roughly say it took me about 6 months. 6 months, maybe even less, 5 months. Definitely we were all under a time crunch, so I don't even know how I did it. How did you approach issues like gender or sizing when designing your collection? I think making sizes available for everyone is really a very hard thing to do. So I wouldn't say that I achieved that with my collection, but regarding to gender, I feel like my collection, it doesn't really matter who wears it. I focused a lot on shapes that hang off the body. I tried to make some garments more wearable across different sizes, just like using elastic waistbands instead of your zip and button, because a lot of people can fit into those kind of bottoms more so than restricted bottoms. And then some of my tops, like my tire vest, it's just a shape. I feel like that can sit on any body. So I think with some of my garments I achieved that, but definitely not for the whole collection. But I did focus on trying to make bigger shapes and bigger silhouettes so that it could fit more people. How did you prepare for presentations? For presentations, we all had to create boards to communicate our designs, communicate our concept, and communicate our process. I would prepare for the presentations along the way. So during the processes, making sure I take pictures, documenting anything that goes wrong so that I can comment on that during my presentation. But I didn't do much preparation like right before. I think I just usually go with the flow and use my boards to help me communicate. How did you manage your time during the overall project? I'm just gonna say that I did not manage my time. I had a rough overall skeleton. It'll just be like, I'm gonna make this outfit in X amount of weeks. For example, I had planned my car seat jacket to take at least 2 weeks, but that took like a month. So it's very hard to plan, and I feel like in a lot of cases things go wrong. You either run out of fabric, or the pattern making process takes a lot longer than expected because you're not getting the right silhouette or shape, and fabrics don't react the same way that you're wanting it to when you're sewing it. I think there are a lot of things that you can't necessarily plan for, and once you get to the situation, that's when you realize how long it's going to take. But I don't think there was one time where I was on schedule with any garment or process. Let's just say the process just takes 2 to 3 times longer than you plan it to be. So you just need to plan ahead. What is your most and least favorite garment and why? I think my most favorite garment is the tire vest, just because I felt like that was the most original silhouette that I came up with, and it ended up working really well on the body. My least favorite garment, I think my least favorite garment would be the race panel pants, only because I felt that I could do a lot more with it. It's very much a filler piece in my collection. I do like the idea that I had for it, I just felt like it didn't give anything to the collection as much as I wanted it to. That was literally the first garment I created, so obviously my ideas develop and get better throughout the process. What garment was most difficult to create? It's very hard to pick because I feel like they're all similar level of difficulty, but I would have to pick the airbag jacket as the hardest because it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to lay the pieces out, what details I wanted to hide, cut off. The airbag jacket was probably the most tedious and long process, so I will pick that as the most difficult garment. What was your favorite moment while creating your grad collection? My most favorite moment was when I was done. I had no social life and all I was doing was sewing. That really took a toll on me. I swear I had a burnout for like a whole year after I graduated. But to give another answer apart from that, it was when we were all sewing together and helping each other out. I had a lot of fun and made a lot of memories with my friends who did the course together. So I definitely miss that. I think that's the number one thing I miss, just being with my friends, doing similar things and supporting each other to push through the collection. How did you find locations for your photo shoot, and did you pay for them? The locations for my photo shoot, I found them looking online because I was looking for an industrial backdrop. I don't know, I went from thinking maybe a gas station or a factory. I was researching a lot of those industrial locations, and then I came across a photo on another clothing website. I didn't know what it was, but then when I showed my dad, he knew exactly what it was, which was a cast spray painting booth, and I was able to get access to that because of my dad. I was very lucky to find and use those locations. And then another location was in my dad's garage, which had all the scrap metal pieces and wires on the floor. Like, none of that was set up for the photo shoot, it was just there. Will your collection be available for purchase? At this point in time, no, but when I feel motivated and inspired again, I will definitely be making pieces to sell, and I will be sure to let you know when that is and when that happens. Maybe just keep an eye out on my design Instagram page. Will you be making another collection in the future or creating your own brand? Making my own brand is definitely an end goal. I'm not really in a rush to make a brand at the moment because I want more experience and I want to be more inspired to not make a brand for the sake of making a brand. Tips to successfully create a collection. I think my number one tip would be, don't worry about what you don't have and just work with what you do have. At the beginning, I was comparing myself to other people, other graduates, other fashion students, and some people have more to invest into this, some people don't, but just because you have more resources doesn't mean that you will come out with a better collection. It's just about your creativity, making sure you're working smarter and not harder. I definitely think organizing is key to creating a successful collection as well, especially when you're given a timeline. I think my tip would just be authentic to yourself, create something that you want to create, be organized, and don't compare yourself to others. The last question is, what are the pros and cons of being a fashion student? The pros is that you get to make fellow connections with the people that you are studying with. Fashion design is very fun and rewarding if you push through. I think it teaches you a lot of patience and perseverance. Also, to be confident in your decisions and your designs. It teaches you hard work ethic, I think. The cons of being a fashion student would just be that you might not have a life outside of fashion design study. But again, that comes down to how organized you are. For me, that was my con. That was it for the questions. Thanks to all of you guys who sent the questions in. Hopefully that answered your curiosities. If you guys have anything else you want to ask, you can just leave them in the comments below and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. In the meantime, stay healthy guys, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!